Again, welcome everyone who's come and is here. Again, just before we begin, as usual, connecting with our motivation more, our joy, our appreciation for this very sacred, fleeting moment, with trust and faith in the inevitability of karma, and with vast bodhicitta, thinking of all beings, that this time together and can really be of great benefit. We can all be in this life and leave this life, leaving only just good fruits benefiting everyone, and then connecting too with our purity vision and our awe and devotion, and re-establishing kind of the view of all the great purity of the vast, within the vastness of our mind, its clarity, its vastness, its all-pervading compassion that's just inseparable from everything. And then again, with the great bodhicitta motivation, that we can really have clear understanding of that, and all beings can have that, which brings peace. So we usually spend a little bit, maybe 15 or 20 so minutes, just to reflect a little bit on the teachings we've heard and are practicing. And then we'll actually do our practice together. So again, my knowledge is limited, our time is limited. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm here speaking a few reflections, but it's always a little daunting and humbling. The Dharma is so vast, even just a glimpse. So everyone here has heard the teachings, has great connections, has studied, reflected, and practiced the teachings. So of course, anything that I say, it's to the best of my abilities, but of course there's so much more, and everyone has their own direct experience. So I'm just saying this, just trying to be good support, and just keeping that in mind. We're all here for the practice and the teachings, and it is so rich. And as we've been doing these Ngondro practices, as you all know, we've been kind of reflecting on things that can really help connect in a more authentic, simple, down-to-earth way with the teachings and the practice. So part of that has been also just kind of going through the different sections in the Ngondro. And so I've been kind of slowly going through the different sections of the Ngondro. Like we all know, there's the outer Ngondro, the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, which is always excellent, always important. Khenpo Tsewang Rinpoche says in one voice with all the lineage masters, really the power of reflecting on the 4 thoughts really sets our Dharma practice on a firm and reliable ground, because it's really looking at the facts of life, and kind of brings that clarity, that warmth and moisture and appreciation to our heart. So we've talked about that before, but again, I'll say that now. If you've never heard of the 4 thoughts, then you can find endless teachings on them. But most important is we reflect on them before we begin any practice or study. And it definitely has its own place in our Ngondro practice. And then doing that, we are turning our mind toward the Dharma, and then we take refuge as the first section of the Ngondro practice. And then again, just as a quick review, we all know refuge is the gateway to all the Buddhist teachings and practices. No matter where, no matter which lineage of study and practice on this earth that are existing, they all come from the great teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, and every one of those lineages entails refuge, which is what is just our basic trust and confidence in the Buddha, in the teachings of the Buddha, and everyone who's maintaining and supporting, upholding, deepening their understanding for themselves and each other, the meaning and realization of the teachings, which is what is removing all our obscurations, bringing out our great clarity. You know, we all have just limited vision right now, just tiny little, like Rinpoche says, like looking through the hole the size of a sesame seed at the universe. But that's just our current limitation. We're all opening to that. So turning our mind, having some connection with the Buddha, you know. So during our refuge practice, we're visualizing Guru Padmasambhava and all the lineage trees as the embodiment of the three jewels. Guru Padmasambhava as the embodiment of all the Buddhas of the three times, of past, present, future, as the embodiment and realization of all the teachings and mandalas of the deities, and the embodiment of all the Sangha. And so this is so rich on so many different levels. So we've been kind of slowly, very tiny, again within our limited time, just reflecting on what is a Buddha, what are the different aspects of Buddha. And last time I spoke, at least, was a little bit on the Dharma, and then Lama Dragpa gave a wonderful talk last week, really going through the different aspects of Dharma, teachings, and view, and then so now that kind of puts us at Sangha to just reflect upon a little bit. So from now until attaining the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. So when we're taking refuge in the Sangha, I mean on the most outer level, right? The Sangha is everyone who's trying to take the Buddhist teachings to heart. So that means both those who've really realized those great teachings and those who are on the way. So there's, within Sangha, there's two basic groupings of Sangha. There's ordinary Sangha, such as like myself, someone who aspires to realize the teachings and bring them all more into my direct realization for the benefit of everyone, everywhere. And then there's the noble Sangha, those great beings who've actually realized it. So that would be who? You know, the arhats, those who've realized selflessness, all the bodhisattvas who are going through, you know, all the bhumis, and then all the Buddhas, all the fully awakened ones. They're, you know, when the Buddhas are our Sangha, the bodhisattvas are our Sangha, the arhats are our Sangha. We have the Sangha we can experience here in this world and have the great fortune to meet through these great realization beings, such as Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal Rinpoche, Khenchen Palden Rinpoche, His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche, so many. And how fortunate. And the Sangha goes all the way right to the Buddha. Without Sangha on the outer level, we wouldn't have the teachings. Just like it goes back to just that's part of the great wealth that we have as practitioners within, our endowments and freedoms. The Buddha appeared in this world. The teachings remain, and those who are kind, who share them and support each other to the best of their abilities. So it's kind of, again, just like all Dharma, kind of obvious, but just how beautiful to see that and highlight that we really are connected to an unbroken, living lineage, unbroken all the way back to Buddha Shakyamuni, and through Buddha Shakyamuni, throughout all beyond the 3 times to the pure essence of wisdom and compassion, shining brightly and unimpededly. And it's due to that joy, devotion, courage, and commitment of each one of those practitioners that came from, India, throughout India, into Tibet, circulating in Tibet, coming out into the world, meeting us in this life. So we too are Sangha. And so that's kind of on one outer level of remembering that. And then kind of looking at what are the word meanings of Sangha. I think, one thing I know Rinpoches have said in Sanskrit, the word Sangha, one meaning is inseparable. And just, think for yourself kind of how beautiful, inseparable. It's like our karma brings us together, our motivation brings us together, our practice brings us together. We're taking responsibility for our entire experience. It means we do have some trust in the inseparability of the nature of our mind and its appearances. And then also when the Sangha is translated into Tibetan, and that's the Tibetan word of Sangha is, I think, Gendun. And literally what does that mean? It means those who aspire to virtue. So just remembering that as Sangha, we're all aspiring to virtue. And what is virtue but essentially, I think we could say, being authentic, being natural, being loving, being compassionate, being forgiving, being open, trying to engage and practice all the 6 paramitas. And so we all know we're all here as Sangha, we can support each other. And that support comes mainly, of course, taking responsibility with how we meet our practice, both our formal practice as well as the practice of just being alive and with a mind, with the freedoms and endowments and this precious opportunity. And then, so keeping our joy, keeping our appreciation, and also our courage and our commitment. Because as we all know, as Sangha, that doesn't always mean we always agree or see things the same way, but we're still inseparable in one family, with the same vision, with the same goals, with the same values. So letting that really open up and purify and give some air and breath to any kind of misunderstandings we can have. And use the opportunities we have in interacting, to just kind of really take the Dharma to heart and really see directly the meaning. I think too then another aspect of inseparable and aspiring to virtue, kind of in that same line. Again, I think many of us have heard it, but again, good to remember. I think Rinpoche said in the Guyagarbha Tantra, the way Sangha is really explained. I guess one point I'll step back in the Guyagarbha Tantra is kind of the source, mother tantra of all the inner tantras, and is especially showing in one way, just in general, how all outer appearances are the mandala of enlightenment. All forms, sounds, space. So within Sangha, it's kind of put out, there's what's called the distant Sangha. And what is that with our Bodhichitta? That means every single living being is our Sangha, is there to support our awakening, and they're here to support our awakening. All mother sentient beings. And then there's the inner Sangha, I think, or inner Sangha. And that would be, on a more Buddhist sense, all the followers of the teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni. Or maybe one could even go a little further, all those who follow a path of love, kindness, nonviolence, respect. Then there's the close Sangha. So again, like we know within all Buddhist teachings and practices, there's many. There's Hinayana, Theravada Sangha, there's Mahayana Sangha, there's Vajrayana Sangha. So again, here we are inseparable from all 3 yanas, all 9 yanas, but we are Vajrayana practitioners, or at least aspiring for that. So that means the close Sangha are all the practitioners and students of the Vajrayana. And then it gets even closer. Within all the lineages and great masters of Vajrayana, there's the really intimate, close Sangha. And that means all the Sangha members who share the same teachers. The same teacher. We've all received empowerment together. We've received transmission together. We've received the same vows and committed to the same vows and goals together. We've received the same instructions to take to heart, and we're all practicing together. That's very close and very profound. And that's like if we look too just at even within Vajrayana, right? Every 10th day and 25th day, every soak ceremony, we always purify our mistakes. And so we have in our root samayas, what's the number 1 samaya? Is respecting our root teacher. And then, what's the third? The third samaya. Close, the closeness and the importance of maintaining harmony with all our Sangha sisters and brothers, and purifying any misunderstandings or trouble that's come up through our mishandling and forgetting our bodhicitta and our view, and etc., etc., etc. So that's, profound, because again, within the view, we're really taking responsibility for everything. That everything is the practice. Everything is the purity mandala of enlightenment. So that's one angle of thought. And then two, Khenpo Tsewang Rinpoche was so kind, so generous, has given so many teachings and continues to. And then he's so more recently given these teachings, the heart treasure to the fortunate ones, and gone over for such detail these 4 everlasting wealths of the practitioners, of Dharma practitioners. And if we kind of recall too what Dudjom Rinpoche is saying there, what are those? And again, remembering the topic here is Sangha. So that's devotion to the root teacher, again. Again, we can be calling Guru Padmasambhava to mind, but also the great kindness, ones who actually appear in our life, like in ways we can connect, but who are all embodied as Padmasambhava. So, devotion to the root teacher. And then the second, love and affection for Samaya brothers and sisters. Really keeping that in our mind and heart in an authentic way, to the best of our abilities. And then again, bodhicitta and compassion for all sentient beings. And then the fourth is connected, but it's again one of these 4 wealths, just to remember the full 4. Because again, these are pointed out. If we have these things, we're incredibly wealthy. The fourth is kind of less grasping due to the fact we've actually contemplated how all compounded things are impermanent. So 4 everlasting wealths: devotion to the root teacher, love and affection for Samaya sisters and brothers, bodhicitta and compassion for all sentient beings, less grasping by contemplating impermanence. So as we're taking refuge in the Lama as embodiment of the 3 jewels from now until we attain enlightenment. And that's the bond we keep with our teacher of this life and all of our Samaya brothers and sisters. So good to keep that open and clear and honest and trust that, because we really are together in this. So I think another aspect of Sangha that's also helpful to reflect on is maybe on a little more it's related, but as far as with ourselves, Sangha in the sense of, if we think of, as we take refuge in the true nature fully realized as Guru Padmasambhava, that's inseparable from our very nature, just has realized it. We're taking refuge in all the Dharmakaya Buddhas, all the Sambhogakaya Buddhas, all the Nirmanakaya Buddhas. Here I've been mostly talking on Nirmanakaya level. And again, just reflecting on Nirmanakaya, right? That's the emanation of wisdom and compassion. That is how, the Dharmakaya and Sambhogakaya is reaching out to all sentient beings whose vision is limited. So again, those can appear as Guru Padmasambhava, as our root teacher, as the teachings, as the books, as the images, anything that's turning our mind toward the Dharma. And like we all know, as we take the Dharma more and more to our mind and heart, and applying our meditation to the view and with our conduct, that means there's nothing outside of the display of compassion and support. Guru Padmasambhava, in other words, is all-pervading. If we take that just awakenness and vividness, try to bring that to our mind and our heart as we're taking that trust and devotion and courage and commitment that we have in all of our experience. And then also on the level of the inner level of our body, our channels, our winds, our essence element. Our body, in a way, is Sangha. Our winds are like Dharma. Our essence element is like Buddha. And it's all, again, getting back to that view of everything appearing in our heart, in our experience, as the display of compassion to support our awakening. That's also referring to this other level. We don't say it in the prayer. From now until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, the three jewels. But then also, again, as Vajrayana practitioners, that means we're also taking refuge in the three roots, which is just, again, another way of looking at the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And what are the three roots? We've all, I think we all know. The root of all blessings is the Lama. The root of all realization is the deity, or the Yidam. The root of all enlightened activity is the Dakini, or root or source of all blessings, the Lama, which is equal to the Buddha, whose omniscience and power and abilities are completely unhindered, omniscient, and all-pervading, as compassion, shining out, reaching out, that the five wisdoms blazing and shining, as all the mandalas of the deities fully realized, fruition, is the source of all realization, the Yidam, the Dharma, the source of all enlightened activity, the Dakini, the outreaching energy of compassion, and activity of everything appearing, all forms are the display of compassion, inseparable from the great sky of emptiness. So just reflecting on that a little as we're doing that, and how it all comes back to Guru Padmasambhava, who's looking at us with such love, such compassion, such joy. And if we just think about it ourselves, like if we have a friend or a child or a loved one that we truly love and value, and we want the best for them. We want their fulfillment. Like if we really connect, we do that. Think of someone we love and adore and we really want to be happy. What does that really mean on the deepest level? Of course, it's temporary fulfillments and peace. But like really that ultimate peace of removing our obscurations and bringing out our innate goodness qualities, which are there from beginningless beginning, just fully developed and completely purified. That's what everyone who loves us wants for us, and it's up for us to do that. Just like those we love, they may be suffering or going through hard times, and we can do what we can, but it's up to them to find that peace. And of course, however we can support that, but also kind of bringing that as we're doing our prayer. And Guru Padmasambhava is looking at that with omniscient love, omniscient compassion, all pervading. And it's up to us. And this, our devotion, like they say, is the door, which, receives the hook of compassion. Our devotion opens the door to all the blessings, all the realizations, and brings, which we can take to our practice, take to our mind and heart to develop that. And then hopefully we can, by maturing that in ourselves, we can bring even more good benefit and support to others. So maybe I will cease my little talking now and we can actually do our practice. So thank you, and forgive me for any unfinished lines of thought, but just trying to reach out a little and bring thoughts on the Sangha, taking refuge in the Sangha together. And so we'll just sit for a moment and then we'll begin our practice. Mojin yuji nuchan sam pedma gesa dumpola yatsin chugi nurupni pedma jungni shesu drak kodu kanro mambukur chechi jesu daktuji chinji lopche sheksu so guru pedma sidi hum. Samantabhadra, Vajrasattva, Pramadavajra, Sri Sangha, Padmakara, 25 king and subjects, So, Zur, Nup, Nyak, the 100 Turtons and others, Lamas of Kama and termalineages, to you I pray. Inseparable. In the past you were the Vidyadhara, Lundin Dorje Tsal. In the future you will be the Buddha Mopataye. Now you are the regent of Padmasambhava, the actual presence of Drogpa Lotsawa. Jigdral Yeshe Dorje, to you I pray. Happy with little, content and rich in jewels of the three trainings, with loving compassion, seeing all beings as parents. Through threefold realization, you made 3 doors, 3 Vajras. Virtuous monk, Pematsotram, to you I pray. The supreme tradition of the glorious Buddha Padmasambhava, which is the essential, extraordinary view and doctrine of the early translation school, you keep alive and spread by the light of wisdom. Lord of Dharma, great Khenpo, I pray at your lotus feet. In the palace of the Ogman Dharmadhatu, the essence of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, the one who shows clearly the Dharmakaya of my own mind, we pray to the Honorable Root Guru, glorious Root Teacher, precious one, dwelling on the lotus seat on the crown of my head. Hold me with your great kindness, and bestow the accomplishments of body, speech, and mind. And I'm sorry, I had just a couple more thoughts that are in line with everything we just did. But again, Buddha Shakyamuni said, Guru Padmasambhava said, in relation to that devotion and remembering the noble Sangha, these are unimpeded beings. And Buddha Shakyamuni said, Guru Padmasambhava said, just thinking of me with devotion, I'm there. And that's exactly what we're doing with our practice. Feel the presence of Guru Padmasambhava, inseparable from all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and our own root teacher of this life. And then also embodied in Guru Padmasambhava when we're saying our lineage prayers. Again, this is all Sangha. This is that unending stream, golden chain of practitioners that's come right into our own life and heart and practice. And then few people have asked over time too in regard to the lineage prayers. We of course, Samantabhadra, Vajrasattva, Pramadavajra, Sri Sangha. This is kind of we're prayer to all the lineage masters, but here too, the real heart of hearts that embodies the whole great perfection, all the Buddhist teachings and lineages. But this great Dzogchen is coming down to us. to Guru Padmasambhava, the 25 heart disciples, King Trisen Detsen, and all the subjects, Sozur Nupnyak, all the great ones at the time the Buddhist teachings came to Tibet and helped carry that on in the early years, and all the Tirtans, all the lineage masters of our lineage were praying. And then we say this next 4 lines we usually say. In the past you were the Vidyadhara Nuden Dorje Tsal. In the future you will be the Buddha Mopataye. Now you are the regent of Padmasambhava, the actual presence of Drogpa and Lotsawa. Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje, to you I pray. So some people have asked, who is this? Who are we talking about here? I think we're talking about His Holiness Dudjom Rinpoche. It's one of our great lineage teachers who's very close. And then in particular here, people also have asked, who is the Vidyadhara Nuden Dorje Tsal? So if I'm remembering correctly, I went and looked a little bit at Rinpoche's teachings. But the Vidyadhara Nuden Dorje Tsal was a great Vidyadhara in a whole nother aeon, even outside of this fortunate aeon. And I'm forgetting, there was a Buddha at that time, and forgive me, I'm forgetting that Buddha's name. And this was one who had realized that Buddha's teachings, the Vidyadhara Nuden Dorje Tsal, and I think he was also a teacher for a great king, Yuken Song, who it said had 1,000 or even 1,002 sons, princes. And that king had some degree of clear sight and saw that all these sons had great, beautiful qualities and would really be great protectors and of great benefit for beings. And again, this was in a Buddha's time and an awakened culture of that Buddha's teachings, taking them to heart. And so the king asked this Vidyadhara, Nuden Dorje Tsal, would you please clarify more about what will be some of the after effects or the benefits and fruits of these beings, when and where they be the most, of benefit. And so Nuden Dorje Tsal did a big empowerment ceremony, and in part of that, he had a big fancy vase, and he put the name of each one of the princes in the vase. And essentially what he foretold was that each one of these sons would become a Buddha of this aeon, which is a fortunate aeon, in which not just one Buddha, but 1,000 Buddhas, or even 1,002 Buddhas appear. And as part of the empowerment was, as during the empowerment ceremony, as each one of the princes received, at random from the vase, it foretold in that great harmony the order in which they would take birth in this fortunate aeon. So in that sense, the Vidyadhara Nuden Dorje Tsal is kind of like known as, because he gave this empowerment and foretold this, in a way, the father of all the Buddhas of this fortunate aeon. And this Nuden Dorje Tsal, far long ago in another aeon, came into this world as Dudjom Rinpoche. So that's why it's saying in the past. In the future, you will be the Buddha Mopataye. So again, in this fortunate aeon, where 1,000 Buddhas appear, Mopataye is said to be the final Buddha of this fortunate aeon before the end of this aeon. And so Dudjom Rinpoche is foretold to be the final Buddha of this fortunate aeon. And then now you are the regent of Padmasambhava. So Dudjom Rinpoche was known as the living regent of Padmasambhava in this time. And it was the presence of Drogpa and Lotsawa. And Drogpa and Lotsawa was one of the 25 heart students of Padmasambhava at the time the teachings were being established in Tibet. And Jigdrel Yeshe Dorje, light of fearless, indestructible wisdom, It's another name of Dudjom Rinpoche. So that's, in a nutshell, just a few people had asked about that, and again, kind of relating back to Sangha and lineage, all the different directions, all these great supports are coming. And then these next 4 lines, happy with little, content and rich in jewels of the 3 trainings, with loving compassion, seeing all beings as parents. Through threefold realization, you made 3 doors, 3 Vajras. Virtuous monk, Pemat Sutram, to you I pray. Who's this? So this is actually a prayer to Lama Namgyal Rinpoche, who was our great teacher. Many of us had the great fortune of meeting and being with. This is Khenpo Tsewang Dongyal Rinpoche and Venerable Khenchen Palden Sherab Rinpoche's father, both Dharma father as well as physical father. And so this is a prayer to him. And Pemat Sutram was his ordination name when after he became a monk. So anyway, and then the next prayer I think we all know is to Khenchen Palden Sherab Rinpoche. So I just wanted to clarify that. So thank you for the extra time. So now, in the presence of all these great ones, we'll continue. We'll go to our calling the Lama from afar, which is page 18 in the Ngondro Sadhana.